Joining me today is Miami-based interior designer Elizabeth Ghia. She works with clients in South Florida, New York, and in the DC area, and is known for taking her clients' vision and translating it into something not only beautiful, but something functional, harmonious, and something that is going to stand the test of time. Stay tuned. Elizabeth, thank you for joining me. Tell us, how did you get into interior design?
So my background is in history of art. That's what I studied at university. And then after university, I went and worked for an interior design and cabinetry firm in London, and then relocated with them to New York. So my background is really kitchen, bathroom design with a focus on cabinetry.
Okay.
And then I branched out into interior design about 10 years ago.
Okay. Wow, that's wonderful. So we obviously are spending a lot of time at home, and many people are taking this opportunity to decorate or do some renovations at home. What styles and trends should we be excited about?
Well, I certainly understand wanting to renovate or touch up your home. Everyone's been stuck at home for almost 2 months now, and I myself am looking at little things I can tweak. One thing that we did recently was slip covered the sofa, just to have a new. We'd had I think the sofa's about 16 years old.
Okay.
My husband had it custom made for his apartment in New York before I met him, and then it was a white, and it just got a bit old, so we decided to slip cover it. So that's something that's easy to do to sort of update your home.
Yeah.
Changing flowers around, new pillows, as you reminded me. One other thing I've been doing, just sort of playing around with, is new lampshades.
Okay.
You can change the shape or even do a fabric covered lampshade.
Okay.
That can be fun. And I just think the house should evolve with you. So, if things shouldn't just stay the same, move things around that you have and bring some new items in that you've started collecting or recently purchased.
Yeah. So you recommend just working primarily
with
what you already have.
Yes.
And then changing little things here and there,
Yes.
just to kind of give you the feeling of a new space.
Totally.
Okay.
And then you just buy 1 or 2 new things when you see them, when you fall in love with them. Buy
Yeah.
good quality so you can, keep it, repurpose it, slip cover it, and move things around. Also, having a color that works for your home, that you can have that chair in a bedroom and then later in a dining room, or it just sort of gives you flexibility if you think sort of long term in terms of quality and in terms of it being right for your home.
Keeping the things that you love, that you already love, that are already part of your home,
Right.
and then just moving them into a different
Just
space.
to give a fresh look.
Okay.
Not that there's anything wrong with how it looked before, but just freshen it up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. And I think as a realtor, I think you and I can both agree that a home should really be a place that you love to come home to.
Absolutely.
It's more than just a space. It's really a feeling, and overall, the overall feeling should really be happiness.
Absolutely. You should have a smile on your face when you come home. Your home should be the place you want to be,
Yeah.
more than anywhere else, because it's a reflection of yourself.
Yeah.
So I completely agree with that.
So what do you feel about your own home, and what are the things that you really love about the space you created?
I love our home because we use every space.
Okay.
It's not a terribly big house, but there are no rooms that are wasted.
Okay.
We have 3 bedrooms upstairs. My children have all their toys in their rooms, and then a few in this room, our family room, but I'm forever taking things back up to them. Because it's a family room for everyone, not just them. And then we have our living room that's, just in open plan in the middle of our house that we walk through every day and occasionally sit in, but we're always looking at it and enjoying it. And then we have our guest room, which when it's not used for guests is either my storage room for my, lamps and things that are going to clients' houses, or a sewing room or a wrapping room or an ironing room or whatever. So things, every room is used.
Well, I'm glad to know that I'm not the only one that, my
Everyone
kitchen table
needs it.
becomes, the workshop for anything
Right.
that we need, that's happening, ironing, folding clothes,
We all need
whatever.
a room like that.
Yeah.
And especially in Florida where so many homes don't have proper laundry rooms. Our laundry is in the garage.
Yeah.
So it's, you can't do any ironing or anything in there. Anyway.
Okay. And so how does that factor in when you're working with a client?
I want my clients to love their homes. I want them to love absolutely everything we choose for their houses. So I love it when, I can find fabric that excites them and, they love the motif. I want them to fall in love with all of our selections. So I'll keep searching for those pieces until I find it.
And you really work with them and understand really how they use each room
Absolutely,
in their home? Okay.
Absolutely. And I'll remind them of other uses that a room could have, once I understand their lifestyle, to try and sort of problem solve and make their home work as best as it can for them.
Yeah. So when someone is buying a home, there's obviously going to be something that they want to change, something that they don't like that the previous owner did, or colors it chose, etc.
Right.
And it always costs much more than anybody budgeted for. Do you have any rule of thumbs when it comes to remodeling?
My rule of thumb, actually, if possible, is to just try and live in the house for a while first, because oftentimes people want to just renovate so quickly and they think, oh no, I can't live in that. It's all, it's not for me. But if you live in it for a few months, you get to obviously speak to contractors in the meantime and don't pick anyone too quickly, but you also get to see how the space works, and living in it may give you a different feeling than having just started designing off the bat.
Yeah.
So if you are able to do that, I do think it's helpful. Yeah. And certain things you thought that annoyed you may not in the end. Yeah. And then you may
might
decide.
Find useful.
Right.
That goes back to what you were saying before. Really, it's more about, it's not so much about aesthetics. It's really about the use of a space. That's going to bring
the
you
functionality,
yes.
And that it's beautiful, and that it stands the test of time, and that it's beautiful quality.
Yes.
So I try to encompass all of those things.
That's wonderful. That's
designs.
It's all making much more sense to me now. Okay. Many people are obsessed with HGTV. I am as well. And I wanted to ask you, because people now have the idea, because they watch HGTV and everything looks so easy, that they can do everything themselves. Right. What would you have to say about a do-it-yourself project, and why should we hire an interior designer rather than just try to do everything ourselves?
Well, HGTV is very entertaining. But a lot of the ideas we see there are very trendy.
Okay.
So that can be tempting to just follow the latest trend, especially as if you go into a tile shop, it's going to be the first tile you see.
Yes.
So sometimes I think you have to know your own taste. It doesn't mean to say you need to know how to execute it, because an interior designer can do that for you. But if you know and are comfortable with your own taste, an interior designer, and it's all about finding the right fit interior design wise.
Okay.
An interior designer can help sort of filter that vision into something that's stands the test of time. Helps you purchase quality pieces that can grow with you and your family, can be repurposed, and can be part of your sort of evolving collection of furniture and pieces for the home.
Okay, so you will, take our idea and kind of, walk us through, like you said, the functionality, and then also if it's going to stand the test of time.
Exactly.
So you'll, if I, wanted to get some super bright or bold wallpaper tile,
I would caution you against it. And the feedback I get from my clients time and time again is that I say no to them.
Okay.
And I'm not just going to say, oh yes, that's lovely, just to keep a client happy. I'm going to tell them, well, I have reservations about this because, in 2 years it's going to be a bit passé, or, I have no problem with a client choosing, a bright yellow or something if they just always love that color since they were a child, and it means something to them.
Yes.
And it's we don't have to think about trends there.
But at least you'll bring up
I
any
just advise them.
reservations, and then
Things
at
they
least
may-
they'll be aware of,
possibly
in 3 months they're going to hate this color.
Just things they maybe didn't think of. And
Yeah.
I always say, you're going to hear it, every thought out of my head. If you don't like what I'm saying, that's fine. But you're paying to work with me, so you're going to hear it.
Exactly.
Just like when we design a kitchen, I'll give them a few different options of how the kitchen could be designed, and ultimately we choose one. But I'm full of ideas, so I'm always sharing those with clients,
and your expertise is really the value that you're bringing to the table.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Wonderful. What do you think that people focus a lot of time, energy, and money on? And then what are the things that you think that people really overlook?
I think people overlook quality cabinetry in kitchens and bathrooms.
They're just going for that look, and they don't think about the
Right,
quality.
and they're thinking about of course you always have to think about the whole budget, but don't blow the budget on some trendy tile for the backsplash when that money would be better poured into quality cabinetry and fixtures and fittings.
Okay.
A white backsplash you're never going to get sick of. Good quality cabinetry with some dings is still nice. I always tell my clients if you buy a good pair of leather boots, those scratches in the leather actually look good. Whereas a bad pair of leather boots, cheap leather, the scratches it looks awful.
Yeah.
And that's the same with good quality cabinetry. If you get a ding or a bang or if it's a painted kitchen, you are going to get some chips eventually. But if it's well done, it will just add to it. It'll be a patina that's created. But a cheap kitchen just looks cheap very quickly.
Yes.
And cheap is expensive.
Yeah.
You have to redo that whole kitchen again in 5 years.
Yeah.
And
That's true.
then you're ending up spending twice. It's cheap is expensive in my view.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm always cautioning my clients that way, because
And also-
ultimately they'll be thinking of me, oh, Elizabeth gave us that awful kitchen that, so it's my name that's on the line, so I do advise
And
them.
one thing I do hate is when the cabinet doors, they start getting loose hinges, and the
Yes.
cabinet doors don't line up.
Yes.
That's something that's an eyesore, when you walk into a
That's
space.
very easy to fix with just going through with a screwdriver,
Okay.
and a
Oh, good
handyman
to
can
know.
do it, and you could probably even do it yourselves.
Okay.
But some cheap hinges come away from the cabinet, and then there's no fixing them. But
Okay.
oftentimes the beginning saggings you can just adjust.
Okay.
But one thing I love with kitchens is actually to do an exposed hinge on the outside. It works for more transitional and traditional and shaker style kitchens.
Okay.
But then you're never going to have any sagging, because the hinge is, it's not even on the outside, it's just called a butt hinge, and you do see it.
Okay.
Like a door hinge,
Yes,
for instance,
yes,
not
okay.
a concealed hinge.
Got it.
And that will stand the test of time, and that is how cabinets were traditionally built. So it will last better, in my view.
Do you hear that? A wonderful tip from Elizabeth regarding, what are they called?
Butt hinges.
Butt hinges.
Yes.
Okay, so I have a little game that we could play, in or out. So in or out, neutral, monochromatics.
I don't think neutral or monochromatics are out. It just needs to be done in the right way.
Okay.
Yeah.
They could always be in, they'll stand the test of time.
Yes, it's just anything
the
can
way
be,
that you do
it's
it.
just if it's done right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Accent walls.
Oh no, I've never liked those.
Out.
One wall of wallpaper, one wall of color. No.
You prefer the whole room
Yes.
to be done.
Occasionally, one wall of wallpaper will work, depending on the wallpaper, like if it's a mural or a children's bedroom. But one wall of color, no.
Okay.
Which is not for me.
Statement doors.
For a front door,
For a front door?
yes.
Okay.
Maybe for a larder or a pantry in your kitchen. That might be quite nice.
Okay.
Yes.
I didn't think about that.
Include the trim with it in the same color as the door.
So an interior door should always have the trim.
The same color
The
as the
same
door.
color.
But especially if you're thinking of an accent, say for your butler's pantry or something, then also paint the trim the same color as the
Okay.
door.
Okay.
I mean, there's all, you have to know the rules to break them, and this is not every case needs to be taken individually, but on occasion, the trim in the same statement color as the door can be quite
So
beautiful.
there's definitely some rules that we
This
have
is
to
why
follow
you need
here.
an interior designer. You can't just sort of blanket it,
Yeah.
and one approach doesn't fit everyone.
I have a few more. This or that? 3D tile or wallpaper?
Well, it depends where you're using it. 3D tile can be fun for a kitchen or a bathroom, depending on the aesthetic. Wallpaper, I just love. I love wallpaper on ceilings, walls, everywhere. But it so much depends on the project and
Okay.
the application of the room.
Okay. And terrazzo or concrete flooring?
Again, it depends on the house, the project, the client, the functionality, the budget.
Uh-huh. What do you prefer?
Each has its. It depends on the house.
Okay.
I always say, the house tells me first what to do,
Okay.
and then I have to sort of listen to that along with the client's needs and wishes and marry them together somehow.
Okay.
So
Wonderful. And so what is your favorite material to work with and why?
wallpaper.
Wallpaper?
It changes a space so quickly.
And what kind of
so-
wallpaper prints are your favorite? Not considering any, just,
I love murals.
okay,
At the moment, I love tropical murals.
okay,
But really, chinoiserie murals, any sort of mural, I love. But there are also beautiful, just repeat wallpapers too.
okay.
But murals are amongst my favorite.
Yeah, so you need a big wall for that
Right.
mural.
Well,
Okay.
not necessarily. I did a beautiful guest room, Peloton room, home office for a client, which had, I think it was maybe an 11-foot wall.
Okay.
Behind the daybed where we did a tropical mural, and that was just beautiful.
Okay.
And it really transformed a small space because you're looking more at the mural and everything going on than how big the space is. And functionally, the space was the perfect size for everything they wanted to achieve in that room.
Wonderful. Thank you, Elizabeth, for joining me.
Thank you, Bianca. This has been so much fun.
Yes, and I hope you all learned something today. To see Elizabeth's projects and to find out more about that wonderful wallpaper she was telling us about, follow her on Instagram at Ghia. If you enjoyed what you saw today, please make sure to like or subscribe. Thank you and see you on the next one.